Welcome to the Fitness Oracle, where we have real conversations with real people just like you, with real stories just like yours. And this is one of their stories. I am your host, John Gonsalvos. My guest today is my good friend, Spiros Nicolaou, returning guest at the Fitness Oracle. He is a former certified personal trainer and a direct sales distributor with a top name health and wellness company. Spiros, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, John, for inviting me back on the show. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
It's you're my first returning guest, first of many. So
Excellent.
it's really I'm really happy to have you on again.
Yep. It was a pleasure to be your first actual guest, and it's a pleasure to be your first returning guest. So lots of firsts, and I'm happy to take that.
Okay, great. Your microphone just went a little bit weird on that.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry. Is that better?
yeah, that's better.
Okay.
So I wanted to know you recently started. We're going to go into more detail on this later on, but just to
Mm,
start it off, you started something on Instagram, which is really cool.
mm.
Spee's Daily Wisdoms.
Yes.
How's that coming along? Just quickly, because we're going to go deeper into that later.
I haven't really been doing the daily wisdoms in 2021. I took a little bit of a break doing that. I've talked about a lot of what I wanted to talk about during 2020, and it's been fantastic. My goal there's three philosophies that I really believe that every human being desires, and you've read the Master Key System or you're reading the Master Key System, and I'm a big fan of the Master Key System as well, and I've been studying that. So the three things that I think that every person desires is health, wealth, and love. Though I'm not an expert on the love part, I think I can help people master their health and wealth part of their lives to live better, do better, and it's a basic philosophy. And when we get into that deeper, I can explain that a little bit more. But it's going well. I'm looking to kind of change it up a little bit moving forward in 2021.
Awesome. I'm sure it's going to be even more valuable than what it was in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the Master Key System, actually the one that actually turned me on to it. Why don't you talk to the people listening at home or watching on YouTube? What
Mm-hmm.
exactly the Master Key System really is?
Well, the Master Key System is an amazing book by Charles Hannell. I didn't plan it, but I do have it right here. So all the people watching on YouTube can see it. And it's basically a book on the law of attraction. So it kind of was featured on The Secret, and most people know about The Secret, the movie The Secret and the book The Secret and everything else like that. And it was one of the original law of attraction books. And it's divvied up into about 24 different exercises. So it's kind of like a home study program written in the book. And it's giving you exercises to do because it's nice to kind of have, a way of thinking. But if you don't apply that knowledge, you're not going to see the results because everything has a duality to it. There has to be the thought, but there also has to be the action. There has to be the plan, but you have to do the work too. And that's really what's I love about this book because it kind of has both. And it's one of the only books that does do that.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the fact it's written in a little bit old English and it can be a little bit hard to read at sometimes, especially late at night when you're tired. Um, just because right now I'm just ready to crack open chapter 14. Does it get any easier with these exercises?
The exercises does get a little bit easier. It goes more into the spirituality as you're progressing, and more into learning how to refine and concentrate your thoughts on certain objects versus trying to, let's say, if you've done the exercise, completely reverse engineer a battleship. And I think you've done that exercise before,
I've
where
tried.
it's not an easy exercise, but if you can master that exercise, I tell you, when it comes to achieving your goals, it's going to be something amazing. And that's something else that I've done as well is I've created a not only am I doing the Speed's Daily Wisdoms, not only am I doing like the Master Key Mondays, where I'm going into the exercises. I've also done something called the Goal Achievers, and one of the things in the Goal Achievers as well is to picture yourself as already achieved your goals and kind of work your way backwards when it comes to the goal setting as well. So this exercise is there to help you master that process. And if you can master that exercise, when it comes to getting your better life, it becomes a cakewalk. It becomes a piece of cake.
We are going to go deeper into the goal setting
Mhm.
in just a little bit. But
Mhm.
before we do,
Mhm.
you've had quite the transformation
Mhm.
since the last little while.
Mhm. Yes.
And I want to really touch base on that before we
Mhm.
go any further. So
Mhm.
I know we're not supposed to talk about numbers, so I'm not going to talk about numbers because I'm
I,
good.
I'm I'm gonna say, sorry to interrupt. We can talk about. We will talk about my numbers and my weight loss goal and goals. What actually happened. We won't talk about time frame because every person's journey is different than people's expectations. I don't want to mislead people with their expectations. My results might not be typical. I will lead to a little bit of a disclaimer, just because we want to protect the industry, and unfortunately, and good job to like Industry Canada, the Federal Trade Commission, and all the other regulating bodies. There have been other companies out there that make a lot of unsubstantiated claims, and they want to protect you with that, and so do we as well. So if I can just do some quick disclaimers as well.
Sure, go ahead. Do the disclaimers before we introduce what program you are actually doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are not here to diagnose, treat, cure any disease or anything else like that. And say the statements that you're going to hear today have not been approved or evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Okay, so we're not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Weight loss disclaimer. So weight loss might not be, or transformation might not be typical. So in a study performed in 2012 by the University of Illinois in Chicago, subjects lost an average of 9 pounds with an average of 2 pounds of loss from visceral fat, which is the fat around the organs, after 30 days on our program, on our isogenic system. Subjects also had a greater adherence to levels of adherence as well over a traditional diet.
Okay, awesome. Now that we got the legal stuff out of the way and no one's going to get sued for misrepresentation,
Yeah.
you have been on and off the 11-day shred that's offered by Isogenics. The only reason why I know it, I am not, I don't offer Isogenics. It's not that I don't agree with everything that they do. I like their products. I think they're really good products, and you pay for what you get. Um, and I've been listening to you for several months now saying, oh, I'm going to do the 11-day shred, the 11-day shred. What is the 11-day shred? I know, but the people listening out there probably don't.
Yeah. So the 11-day shred is kind of a part of their 30-day program. I'm just focusing specifically on 11 days for myself, because my transformations, eventually I'm going to get into trying to do bodybuilding and weightlifting again. So I'm modifying it for myself, but this is kind of like the original program that Isogenics came out with about 18 years ago, which was called the 9-day. We just modified it to help people see better results to do 11 days. And basically, it's just a program of shake days and cleanse days. And what a cleanse day is our version of a nutritionally supported intermittent fast. So you do 4 cleanse days within the 11 days, back to back cleanse days, and then 5 days of shakes and 2 back-to-back cleanse days. And before the first 2 cleanse days, you also do 2 shake days as well. So it's really, really fantastic. I can't tell you if you watch my updates, because I always try to do a daily update with how I'm feeling, and the energy levels that I'm feeling is absolutely fantastic. And the reason why I gel with the company and with the program is because it's all about a system and the process. So I like to think, and if you've read the Master Key System, I don't know if you've got to this part of the book where it says, kind of imagine you're building a house, right? What's the blueprint of the house going to look like? What are the materials? Are you going to use the best wood, or are you going to use rotten wood or anything else like that? Some of the top people in the company, they'll talk about, it's like having a recipe. There's different components to a recipe. There's the quality of the ingredients, there's the process, and then there's the time to bake. And this is why I'm not mentioning time frames in here, because each person's cook time might be a little bit different, because it might be depending on your oven and everything. But the better quality of ingredients, let's take a cheesecake. The better quality of the ingredients, the better taste in the cheesecake, the better the process you do, the fluffier it might be and everything else like that. And really, this is what it is. So it's just a more concentrated, more focused 11-day shred, which I find is easier to adhere to and allows me a little bit more flexibility. And I've been seeing amazing results. And I've been inspiring other people who are using isogenics, who are my friends, to actually be doing this as well, and they're seeing fantastic results also.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Big question. Are you allowed to eat food?
Yes. So on the shake day, basically I'm having 2 shakes a day. They're super nutritionally dense shakes. I'm allowed 2 snacks. Now I use the isogenic snacks, but you can have a 100-calorie snack of anything that you want. And then I have 400 to 600 calorie meal. The one thing I love about this program, it's helped me to really create a new relationship with food and a new understanding with food. So you and I are Greek, John, and we love our olive oil. So I realized, because I was being a lot stricter on my 11-day, and I found it within my first 11-day, that I was probably eating easily an extra 700 to 1,000 calories in olive oil a day. And that's a lot of calories. Olive oil is very healthy fat, but that's a lot of calories for your body to process just in oil. And being Greek, what do you eat oil with? Olive oil with?
Oh, you eat it with cheese. You eat it with everything, even bread.
But bread, right? You have to sop it off with bread, right? So I was eating a lot of bread and a lot of unhealthy calories. And you know what? This has really changed my relationship with food as well. So it's not just that I'm getting more nutritionally dense nutrition into my body that's making me live better, feel better, do better, look better, move better. It's helping me move better as well, all within the art of well-being, which is what our company's model is. But it's giving me a great little relationship with food. So, and it's not just a whim. It's not just kind of like a fad. This is something I can do for the rest of my life. And it is something that I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. So, and that's how incredible this program is.
Well, if you ask some Greeks, they'll even put it in their cereal. For that's the thing that we have with olive oil. It's just it's in our genes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like I said, it's helped me to recognize, this program's helped me to recognize healthier eating habits, but also putting in better nutrition into my body. Now, I just want to do, because I love painting pictures for people, and people who are listening might not be able to see this, but I just want to paint the picture. Imagine your body is like a battery with a toy. Let's say a toy that makes lights and sounds and everything else like that. And you have a battery that's pretty drained, and it's kind of making a low, dull sound. The lights aren't going experience. So have you had, like, I know you have nephews, have you had like their kids' toys where the battery might be dying and it's not making as good of a sound or anything else like that? Oh, yeah. Using this system, it's like having a supercharged battery in there, and the lights are going all over the place, and the noise is It's like getting it right out of the box, the toy. And that's how I feel using the system.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's the toughest part of the challenge that you've had to deal with when you're on the system?
Each time I do the 11 days, so I'm doing it once a month, it gets actually easier and easier. Obviously, the nutritional cleanse days are going to be the toughest for most people. And that's because you're really not eating a lot of food. So you do get a little bit of snacks to kind of help normalize your blood sugar levels, because we don't want you into a binge or anything else like that. But you can get a little bit of hungry at first, but every time that you do these back-to-back cleanses, you notice that you don't get that hunger anymore. So it's just overcoming the hunger and making sure that you're drinking enough water. So again, this is another relationship. I was actually recording how much water I'm drinking to make sure I'm drinking enough water to see the results that I want, because water is king.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other tricks that you use to help stay the hunger pains?
Well, we have these little chocolates that you can get a part of the program, which help improve your mood and help to really quench that hunger as well. So it helps to make you a little bit less hungry. We have a saying, friends don't let friends do cleanses without ice delights. So it's just little chocolates. It makes life a whole bunch easier. You're allowed to have about 2 to 4 of them on a cleanse day. So you're allowed to eat chocolates when you're doing a cleanse or an intermittent fast. That's awesome, first of all. And I know many women love it because they love chocolates. So, and these are absolutely delicious chocolates, nutritious, delicious chocolates as well. So it does make the whole process easier. I've done it before. I've done cleanse days before without the chocolates, and I've done it with the chocolates, and it makes it a lot easier.
How about now? Are you using the chocolates now?
Yeah, I do use the chocolates when I made the decision to start the 11-day programs per month. I am using the chocolates.
Okay.
Absolutely. Just because the easier you can make it, the more likely you are going to continue using it.
Okay.
And
Cool.
adhere to the program.
Cool. So I'm assuming that there's a whole bunch of different cycles that you have to be on and off.
Mm-hmm. So it's just following the program and the recipe. So like I said, during the 11 days, it's 2 shake days. And I describe what a shake day is. And we even have videos on how to do shake day as well. So it's 2 shake days, 2 cleanse days, 5 shake days, and then the last 2 days are cleanse days. And it can be really modified just depending on what a person's goal is. So if somebody's super lean, but they want to, let's say, shred body fat, so they can do, and I've done it to help people. I've done it 2 shake days, 1 cleanse day, 1 shake day, 1 cleanse day, 3 shake days, 1 and 1. So it's completely customizable to a person's goals, to a person's body type, and everything else like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really awesome. And I've had people who are lean doing this program. I've had people who are overweight doing this program. Each person is just going to be looking at it for different goals as well.
Cool. Now, I know we're not supposed to be talking numbers, but your numbers are actually really remarkable. And just another thing for everybody out there listening, these numbers are not set in stone. This is what Spiros has gone through. As a personal trainer, I can attest to this disclaimer because I have people coming to me sometimes expecting to drop 50 pounds in a month, and it's not going to happen. I have had people drop 10 pounds in a month. This is per person, and this is Spiros's experiences and nobody else's. So let's talk a little bit about numbers. You have went from, go ahead. I'm going to let you talk because I'm just amazed by it.
Because I'm not going to mention a time frame here. I've gone from 227 pounds when I made the decision to really start this program and put an emphasis on this program. And I just finished my last 11 day on 2 days ago. And I'm down to 192. So that is about 37 pounds of loss. The majority of it has been body fat. I'm down 7.5% body fat. And I'm also down about 7.5 inches around what I really want, because eventually I'm going to be worried about building muscle. But where I want to lose the most is around my gut. So around my belly button, I've lost 7.5 inches since I decided to make a decision. So it's been pretty awesome. If you've seen my before and after pictures, it's just absolutely incredible. Just the transformation I have, and I'm looking forward to have an amazing further transformation. My goal, and it's a little bit of a stretch goal, and it's a hard goal that's going to be attained, but I'm looking to try and get to 10% body fat by my birthday, which is at the end of May. And it's a long way to go, but I'm excited. It's a little bit scary, and it's exciting as well.
You know, the best goals are the scary ones.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best goals to go for.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing that I love about this, is that I'm not really doing this alone. I have actually a couple of different groups that I've inspired to do this. So I have a lot of different support groups. Each group works on it a little bit different. So one does it on like a mind holistic approach. Another one is my chiropractor has decided to do this group. He's been a part of the company as well. And, he has his group, and we're there and supporting each other as well. So it's a wonderful little community. We also have body transformation challenges, which are pretty impressive as well. So every 16 weeks, you go into a challenge. You can go in your challenge. You just take your before and after pictures. And what's great about it is, if you complete a challenge, you can choose just to go for the main prize and everything else like that. You can just choose to do a product coupon of $200. So it's like you complete 3 challenges a year. That's like $600 in free food from Isogenics that you get. How awesome,
That is awesome.
But it's an amazing support group. So like I said, it's a wonderful recipe for success. So we've got the best ingredients, which are the products, and the natural system. We've got the process, which is how to use it. In this case, it's 11-day, or you can extend it to the 30-day program, which the 11-day is a part of, or other customizable systems. And it's a cook time, because everybody's time for getting the results that they want is going to be different. But we've had hundreds of thousands of people, and the majority of the people that use Isogenics are customers. About 80 to 85% of the people that use Isogenics are just customers. They're not independent distributors, but we have hundreds of thousands of people that have spectacular results. That's awesome. Can do a testament as well. So each person's going to have a little bit of a different cook time, and again, it's just going to depend on what their goals are to hit their goals. Whether their body is nutritionally deficient and they have to go back into the homeostasis point first before they start seeing a better results. But the one thing that I love about this is, if you're not happy within your first 30 days of using this product, you get your money back. No questions asked. The company is that great.
That's awesome. We touched up on something, and you actually touched up on it in the last segment there. We're talking about goal setting. You have a very unique way of setting goals. I know this because you and I popped on a call just about New Year's just to set my goals. Why don't you talk about that system? Because it was quite interesting at the path that has led me on for 2021, and I want the listeners to and the viewers to take a look at it.
Well, with the my goal achiever system, it's kind of a combination. I kind of looked at what works out there and what doesn't work out there, but it's basically looking at kind of evaluating where you are first, kind of on a scale of 1 to 10, and kind of looking at those 3 areas of what you desire. So health, wealth, love, kind of rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And be honest with yourself, kind of asking yourself why you're rating yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. That way, and kind of going and look at little subsections. So for instance, if you're looking at health, what's your body fat? What's your weight? What's your energy levels? How is your sleep patterns? How are your nutrition? What are you eating and everything else like that? And kind of rating each subcategory there, and then kind of going into, okay, what does a 10 out of 10 look like? Right? And then break that down. How are you eating? How is everything else going? Why is it important? Because a lot of people don't understand the why, and the why is very, very important. So if you don't know why you're going to be doing something, when the excuses come up, it's going to be very easy to give into your excuses. So you kind of have to know why. So it's really getting intimate to that as well. Then kind of going, what are your action steps? Because a lot of people have goals, but they don't write down their action steps. And then there's a lot of little processes out there as well. But I also kind of tailor it to a person's personality subset. So there's a program that I learned when I was working for a company. They brought in somebody who created the DISC program, which is DISC just stands for, is a personality trait program, which just stands for dominant, influential, steady, and conscientious. Personality types, and we are generally a combination of all 4 personality types, but we have 2 more dominant personality types. I'm a dominant conscientious, you're a dominant conscientious personality type. So the way that we set goals should be very specific in the language that we use to do that. So we're very fact-based versus very word-based or story-based, right? So we should, when we're making our goals, it should be very fact-based, maybe point form or anything else like that. But the people who, let's say, are influential or steady, when they're writing out their goals, they should write it out in a story. And I even do say that everybody should write it out in a story. So write it out when you're writing your goals. You want to read it every morning and every evening out loud, and just write it out in a story, or write it out like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am, and then read it out as a story, or write it out as a story to yourself as if you've written it from the future, and it's already an achieved fact, and that you're reading it today. And I don't think I'm missing anything there, but what did you like about it? Let me flip it on to you, John. What did you like about my goal setting program?
It got me thinking about the future and where I want to take this stuff, where I want to take the fitness oracle, where I want to take Feel Fitness, where do I want to do it from? And it kind of got resonated back to me because I uh, kind of like fell off the train a little bit. And when I joined this other support group, it was similar to what you did. And when I went back to my notes, I'm like, well, this is what this is what I'm going for. So I had already planned out everything what I wanted to do. It just, so that's what, and you really helped me identify where I needed to work the most for 2021. So this is my next question to you. How do you see the difference between New Year's resolutions, which most people have probably fell off the wagon right now with their resolutions, versus goal setting?
Well, the difference between a resolution and, let's say, goal setting is that resolutions tend to be just a wish or a want, where goal setting, you look at desire. It's a desire and an action plan, basically. So a lot of times with resolutions, people don't write down their resolutions. And if you're not writing it down, what do they say with goal setting? If you write it down, it's more likely to become, you're going to manifest it. It's going to become real. Most people don't write down their resolutions. It's kind of a wish. or a want. And the problem with the word want, and words matter, there's a difference between want and desire. Wanting something is kind of almost like coveting something. It's something that you're interested in, but you know you're not going to get. Where a desire is something that you're going to pursue because you know you're going to get, and you're going to pursue it with passion and intensity and hunger as well. So really a goal, writing down your goals or creating a goal is creating a belief and a desire to go out, and an action plan to go out and get something done. So it's kind of like having a blueprint, and it comes down to, like I've been saying, everything is, and it depends on if I can paint a picture to people, and I'm going to probably constantly emphasize this or repeat myself with this. It's like creating a recipe for a cheesecake or creating a blueprint to building a mansion or an amazing house, right? You can wish that you want a nice house and it never happens. Or you can sit down and go, I'm going to build this house. What do I need? What materials am I going to do to build the house? What materials am I going to, what's the process? How am I going to build the house? How much time is it going to take to build the house? And it gets you thinking in a different direction of you actually moving to achieve it. Because when you identify those three aspects and you're creating that blueprint, it's almost becomes a habit for you to move through that blueprint. And especially if you're looking at that blueprint often. Same thing with the recipe. If you want to make the most extravagant cheesecake, you got to think to yourself, what ingredients do I need? What is the process and the preparation that I need to do? What's the bake time? And you kind of move through that process and you go, oh, I need to go grocery shopping. And this is the whole thing with the goal setting as well. So with that goal setting, it gets you into that mind of either creating that recipe or creating that blueprint that's going to allow you to achieve. And it almost makes it easy for you to achieve your goal.
So this becomes like a daily affirmation or a daily mantra into your entire life.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at people who are bakers, let's say they're baking a cheesecake or something like that, they're following a recipe specifically day in and day out. Or an architect, they're following that recipe. They're looking at that. They're not building a house or a big mansion or anything extravagant willy-nilly and going, oh, you know what, I think I'm just going to hammer this here or put this screw here. It's all followed to a T. And when you're looking at it constantly, it reprograms your mind to change the image that you have of yourself and create better habits, because we are all ruled by habits. Now I've been talking about 3 books here. So we've talked about the Master Key System, talking a little bit about different stuff. I've gone over Happy Pocket and Full of Money, and I've also when talking about habits, The Greatest Salesman in the World. So there's a lot of information that I'm combining into one to kind of make my own. But when you start loving knowledge, and Socrates said this as well, with Socrates or Plato, when you want knowledge or information as badly as you want to breathe, there's nothing stopping you from getting it. And that's a paraphrase. I don't know the exact quote, but it's how hungry it is do you want something as badly as you want it to breathe? And that's kind of like a hidden thing, because most people are not hungry. Mm-hmm. But that's what, looking at the blueprint, creating the blueprint, it helps to manifest that hunger within yourself, so that you go in there and you can tell who are hungry, because these are the people, if they're not, they'll either research what they need to do and go out and do it. So they are, there's a word I'm looking for and I'm trying to think about it. They're kind of go-getters. So they won't wait for an assignment. They're going to go out and just do what they feel is right, or look to see what the next step is going to be. Or people who need an assignment who will have a coach, let's say like us, for a personal trainer, and the personal trainer will give them an assignment to do, and they go out and do it. That's what's going to determine success. So there's a lot of different aspects to that as well. The last thing that you want is you want a baker that goes, you know what? Yeah, maybe I'll bake a cake today. Or an architect or a building company that's building your house and go. And unfortunately, there are people who hire contractors and everything else like that, where they don't show up to do the job because they just don't feel like it. You want somebody who knows the plan and is hungry to do it and to serve their person, to serve the people that they're hired to do, and you want to serve yourself. And you got to kind of figure out, if I become a better person, if I achieve my goal, who can I serve better in life?
So it almost sounds like you're talking about like motivation and keeping the motivation going. But you and I both know the people that when people do get motivated, that fire has a tendency of flaming out. What are some of the tools that you could use or you could share with us to help keep that motivation, that fire burning?
Well, some of the stuff, and you'll see it every time people go to conferences, and I'm not going to pick on anybody, but they go to these big motivational conferences, which are absolutely fantastic. They'll go there, they go rah, 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 and just really get fired up. They go home and nothing happens. Their life really doesn't change. And a lot of that is action. So you have to look at taking action and creating action steps. And a part of that is doing assignments to yourself. If you don't know what assignments you should be giving yourself to take action, find somebody who's been to where you are, who's willing to take you on kind of like a mentor, and ask them, what do I need to do? And then go out and do it. Because when you accomplish an assignment and you get that recognition for accomplishing assignment, it reignites that fire. It's kind of like a triangle. So you have your goal, you have your assignment, the assignment gets done, it gives you a sense of accomplishment, which goes back to your motivation. And it kind of loops into this whole circle of fire. And when you keep repeating that process, it's kind of like you hear people go, eat, sleep, train, repeat, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you keep doing that simple process of reading that motivation, reading what your goal is, doing the assignment to the action plan, reviewing that assignment once you've accomplished and celebrating it, and then rereading your motivation again or your goal, it kind of will constantly ignite a fire and help you to build a habit. So a lot of people will say, you just got to build the habit. No, you need the motivation, because even if you build a habit, it just takes one excuse, one rainy day for you to break a habit where you just don't feel like doing it. So you need that motivation. You need an assignment, an action step to do. You need to review it. You need to celebrate, and then you need to review, and then you need to repeat and review.
It's interesting the part that you said about celebrate. For myself personally, like I always have a problem with celebrating my accomplishments. What would you say to somebody that's like me that always reaches the peak of the mountain and can only see the next mountain, the next peak?
That's where you kind of need somebody like me, a mentor, a good friend who you can be accountable to, and just say, hey, John, great on your accomplishments. Take a step back, take a deep breath, and tell me, what are you grateful for now that you're there? So for you, I would actually say, write out some gratitudes each day of the process of what you're doing, so you can kind of recenter yourself in your accomplishments. So what I would say tell you again, gratitudes, five gratitudes, three gratitudes of what you achieved that day. So you can kind of refocus and bring it back down to the process.
Now that's actually really good. I'm actually going to start doing that at the end of the day. That's really good. Thank you for that. And
Mm-hmm.
for everybody out there listening and watching this on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
if you're like me and you can only see the next peak, please, please,
Mm-hmm.
please, please try this. I'm going to be doing this starting today,
Mm-hmm.
but we've been dancing around a little bit of a subject here for quite some time. Um, no man is an island.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have been talking about is uh, becoming a part of a community.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of communities have you been a part of that have helped you progress as a person and as an individual, as a person, as a
Mm-hmm.
man, and as a business owner?
Well, for one thing, is I'm so grateful to Isogenics because they actually understand the community aspect. Um, and I've met some of my best friends and mentors, trainers from in Isogenics, and they just constantly inspire me. Uh, I've been to different events when we were traveling to different events. Now we're doing it digital because 2020, 2021, and we've got lockdowns and everything else like that. So you're not allowed to travel to these big corporate events, but they're um, doing it over Zoom and everything else like that and virtually. But when I got to travel to Vegas for global celebration, you get to see the speakers and their passion and their drive and the commitment. And you get to talk to people who are in a great community that are with you. Uh, it is just so inspiring and the people that you meet. So you want to look for people who have like goals like you and who have a like mindset like you. And you and I, our goals is to, John, you and I, our goals is to really inspire people and help people transform their lives. That's why I love the Isogenics, because it gives me a vehicle to help people do that physically and financially, potentially financially, if they choose to put in the work to do it as a business. But it's just a fantastic community of like-minded individuals, and I've met some of my amazing friends through there. And honestly, I spend most of my time with people within Isogenics or people who are like-minded individuals. And I've heard it said with Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad fame, is that you tend to be the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around, right? So you choose your friends wisely. And I do want to let people know that, and it's not, you're going to outgrow some people, and people are not going to not consciously going to resent that. People don't want to see their friends or their family member move out of their tribe and into another tribe. So do note that you're going to have some people in your life who are not going to uh, subconsciously want you to succeed. So they're going to be like a crab in the bucket, and they're going to try and pull you down. But it's just figure out who is like the person that you want to become. What are the characteristics of the person that you want to come? And I've talked about this in the Spees Daily Wisdom as well, is kind of figure out the character and the personality of the person that you want to be, and then start acting that way as well. And then surround yourself by people who you want to, kind of creating an avatar of who you want your friends to be like, and how you want them to be like. And it'll actually start attracting to you. You'll start finding that qualities. Most people don't do this activity, so they're just surrounded by the people who kind of enter their life, whether it's good or bad.
Do you think that's a sense of security, a false sense of security?
I think it's kind of a false sense of security. Is again, it's kind of we're slave to our habits, and it's a lack of education because this the stuff that we've discussed is not taught in schools. And I talk to my niece all the time about this, and I ask her to do goal settings and do the process and everything else like that because it's not taught in schools. And I want people to be super, super successful. I've never took goal setting 101. I've never took wealth 101. There is no such courses in school. Nobody talks about residual income. Nobody talks about living your dream in elementary school, high school, university, or anything else like that. And it needs to be a requirement. And it's just the programming that we've been programmed with.
Mm-hmm. So, changing gears a little bit,
Mhm.
Speed's Daily Wisdoms, what are
Mhm.
they?
So I kind of created Speed's Daily Wisdoms just to kind of help people out. So I think I have a passion of learning. Like Socrates says, if you desire wisdom and knowledge as badly as you want to breathe, you'll attain it. I just love learning. I love the success that I've gained from all the stuff that all the knowledge that I've gotten and from the application. I think on my first podcast we talked about me pushing a forklift
Mm-hmm.
and me squatting 500 pounds and doing some impressive lifts. These are a bunch of philosophies and principles that I've learned that I've managed to apply to myself. And this is not something that I've created. And here's a thing that I want everybody to know. Although all the wisdom, all the knowledge that I have, and that um, sharing, is not my wisdom. This has been around since the Bible, right? It's just that I'm consuming it. I'm getting a huge benefit from it, and I just want to share it. And the people who are ready to change, who are ready to take their life in a new direction, who are ready to go out and live. That's what GOAL stands for. Go out and live. Who are ready to do that. I want to be a resource and kind of point them in the right direction. And that's where it really is there. And again, I kind of did it with my niece in mind because I know the education system is nowhere near up to par. And they all have a specific agenda, which we don't. That's could be a podcast in itself, but they all have their specific agenda, and I'm not happy with the agenda, and I don't want her to live an ordinary lifestyle. Again, in the master key system, it says that, and I'm paraphrasing this, there's a paragraph in the master key system is you have a choice where you can live on the high road, you can choose the low road, and many people just choose to go back and forth to and fro. Right. And it's really what your choices are. And there's a lot of people out there that struggle. And it's not that they're choosing to struggle, it's just that they're not choosing to live. They haven't made the decision, or they don't know that the power that they have with them. And I want to help them get this power.
It's like that old saying goes, don't be afraid to die, be afraid. Uh, sorry, what's the
Mhm.
saying? Don't be afraid to die, but be afraid of not living.
Mhm. Yep. Les Brown actually says, and again, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't memorize quotes. The wealthiest place on the planet is a graveyard because it's the place where people are buried, where they have unlived dreams and unlived ideas.
Yeah, that's so true.
Mhm.
So, what was the inspiration behind Spee's Daily Wisdoms?
Honestly, my niece. I wanted to help her have a better life. And oftentimes we're very busy in life. I don't get to see her as much as I want, and I just wanted to leave a legacy. And if I do have kids in the future, um, I want to leave something to the world, basically, that they can have and they can share and they can do, because the principles don't die. The principles of success don't change. They don't die. The truth is always going to be the truth. There is no my truth. A lot of people like to use the words my truth, your truth. There's only truth and principles and what you desire. And I just want to give back, man. I've been so blessed, and I'm not where I necessarily want to be, but I've had a lot of successes in life. It hasn't been announced, but I know it. Like, for instance, I also have a job as well, and I'm building my business part-time. But in my job, I'm Agent of the Year for 2020.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, it's just applying these principles and everything else like that. And why should I be so selfish in keeping these principles to myself? If I am to love my neighbor, as, let's say, the Bible tells me, do I not want my neighbor to be as fruitful as I am? And would we not create a better world if I could do that?
Sadly, you're right, but most people,
Mhm.
they only see themselves.
And again, it's just they're educated to see themselves, and again, it's not a bad thing. It's just needing to change the paradigm. So it's needing to change the belief system, the BS.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of BS in that BS. And I'm talking
I mean,
about the school system, but this podcast is not about that. These podcasts are about becoming better versions of ourselves.
it's about living better, doing better, feeling better, acting better, moving better, and just living better. And I wish that on everybody. I would never recommend something if it didn't accomplish that. I would hate if somebody recommended something to me that made me live worse.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I take that feeling to that, and I research the crap out of it, and I go by my principles. And anytime I'm looking at something new or doing something new, does it attain to the principles, the true principles of life?
Right. Um, I've known you for quite some time, and you know quite a bit about nutrition. So I want to talk about a little bit about nutrition in this podcast as well. So, what's the biggest challenge that you see when it comes to making a nutrition plan for other people?
The biggest part is people are set in their ways and their habits, and they don't like trying new food. So you'd be surprised. I've actually been a nutrition consultant, working to build programs for people, having amazing access to amazing programs. And the biggest thing is adherence. If you're going to give them something that they've not liked, but that's good for them, are they going to go out and eat it? And it comes back down to, are people hungry enough to change, right? If you give somebody an assignment, are they going to do the assignment? Right. And if they do the assignment, whether they do the assignment or not, that's how you're going to see if they're kind of successful. So it doesn't shock me when people don't do their assignments, and then you go to remeasure and reassess them, that they haven't hit their goal or they haven't budged that much. But that's one thing. The other thing as well is it's almost impossible to really, and because I've had the computer program and I've kind of looked at creating it, get your daily nutrition from food alone. It's I've looked at it and I've just played around with myself. And I'm looking at 3,500 calories, and you're still not getting your recommended daily allowance or recommended daily intake at 3,500 calories. And most people, and they actually did a study, and I was watching this. The study kind of presented, and the doctor talking about it within the Society of Weight Training Injury Specialists, which is a great source of information. He was talking about the study where they've kind of tested people's nutrient levels, and cellular nutrient levels, and everybody that they tested was deficient. Then they put them on either a really good diet or a really good diet with supplementation. And what they found is the only way to get back to replenish that nutrient levels was the people who are on a really good diet with really good supplements, because it's really hard to get your nutrition from food anymore. It's just so depleted. It's over farmed, it's over sprayed, it's picked early because it's got to travel around the world to ripen. So what you eat is not nutrition. It doesn't have the same nutrition that it did 50 years ago.
Would you say that you're a proponent of eating locally?
It is no, and here's why I say that, because we live in Canada. How the hell are we going to get fresh fruits and vegetables locally in the winter? You can't. You can't. You can't. You would have to get them frozen, or pick them and freeze them properly. And they're, which isn't a bad thing, but are you really going to sit there and store 3 or 4 or 5 months worth of food? Do you have that much storage in there? So, it's a great idea when you can get in it, and if you can grow your own food, awesome. But it's really is looking at the quality of the food that you eat. And that goes for more for eating meat than it does with eating vegetables or anything else like that. If there's no nutritional difference between eating organic or non-organic, it's just how much pesticides might be on there, or whether it's genetically modified or not.
I actually came across an article years ago, and one way that you can actually get around saying that you're organic is calling your company organic, and then you're able to put organic on the bag. I know one of the largest, not one of the largest fast food chain in the world right now. I'm not going to name any names. It involves a clown. They get away with saying 100% pure beef because the name of the company is called 100% pure beef from where they get their meat from.
I've heard that as well. I can't comment on that because I don't know enough about it. But I will say this: a lot of people think that the pharmaceutical industry is one of the biggest industries in the world. It's actually the food industry. It is the biggest industry in the world, and there's a whole science out there that's designed to make you consume more food.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they put together food? How do they process food to make you want to go out and buy more and more and more? So it is the biggest thing. And when it comes to that company that you were talking about or other fast food joints, how can they make their food so tasty that you can't just stop eating one slice? You have to come back for more. How many times a day, how many times a week are you going to desire that food? Mhm.
There's a way to do it.
Mhm.
It involves salt and sugar.
Salt, sugar, and fat,
Yeah.
the right ratios and everything else like that.
Yeah.
And again, they're out there to make money. I don't knock them. Hey, it takes two to tango, and it takes people to want to say no. But again, this is what I love about my program as well. one that I'm doing the 11-day shred, if I can go back to that, it's giving me a new relationship with food. And I've been somewhat of a sweet person, and I love my burgers and pizzas and everything else like that. But honestly, I haven't craved that food, or if I do eat it, it's once in a while, and I haven't gone to the fast food joints in like a very, very long time. I don't go for sweets or anything else like that. It's actually changed what my body desires because I'm giving it nutrition. And a lot of times is with nutrition, if your body's craving for something, it means that you're actually nutrition deficient in some sort of nutrient.
Well, considering that we're in lockdown again,
Mm-hmm.
there's nowhere to go anyways. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
good time to get off of these bad habits.
Yeah.
But going back to the quote unquote dieting, like I
Mm-hmm.
really hate using that term because it's not dieting. You're not dying when you're supposed to be putting food in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Have you found that there's a one size fits all, quote unquote, one size fits all approach to getting people healthy again, making healthier choices?
Well, this is why I joined the Isogenics program and decided to be a distributor for an associate and independent distributor for Isogenics because it's about a lifestyle, right? We tell people when they work out, and this is a downfall with the mindset of dieting is people will do it for a short period of time and then revert back to old habits. It's a lifestyle. You can't just work out, lose that 10 pounds, and then decide to stop working out because you're going to regain that back. It has to be a lifestyle. The Isogenics program is a lifestyle because it's getting nutrient dense food into your body that's quick and easy, and that's going to make you feel good, full, and satisfied. And for me, that's why I love the system because it literally takes me 30 seconds to make a shake. It's extremely satisfying, and I make the shake differently. I don't just use water or ice or anything else like that. I use cold brew coffee, and I use the shake and cinnamon and other additives that I can make it taste even better than what it does. It tastes awesome by itself, but I like cinnamon. I'm a cinnamon fiend. So I like putting cinnamon in my shakes. Some people like banana, some people like almond milk, or whatnot. But it's versatile that I can make a delicious recipe. I can make it into a smoothie. I can make it into a shake. I can make it into a smoothie bowl. I can make it into ice cream or a popsicle and have it and enjoy it. It's just so versatile, so delicious. But the nutrition level, basically doing the system and not just one shake, I would have to eat to get the same nutrients. I would probably have to spend $20 a day, just myself, to get on food, just to get the same nutrition that I would on with the Isogenics program. And it's not $20 a day generally with just doing the shakes and some of the other stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Aside from the isogenic stuff, is there a favorite go-to quote unquote diet for you?
I typically tend to lean towards more of like a 40-30-30 diet. I think it's the Atkins diet, where it's like 40% carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein. Something more balanced. I know people who are on keto and they love keto. I know people who are on paleo. And again, I actually like paleo as well.
This is why we're friends.
I think something that's well balanced because you need all the nutrients and everything else like that. I don't think that you should starve yourself of any type of macronutrient, protein, fats, carbs, because they're all important to getting the nutrition that you need into your body. Right? You need carbs to get water soluble vitamins and minerals into your body. You need fats to get fat soluble vitamins and minerals into your body, or fat soluble, vitamins and minerals into your body. to build hormones. Every cell in your body is made up of a double lipid layer of fat, double layer of fat, right? So you need fat in your body, you need carbs to fuel, you need protein to rebuild, because again, your body's made out of protein and fat. So I tend to go with trying to get as even a balance as you can. But each person is going to be a slightly something different.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's different. Like, I hate that question, but I had to throw it in there because I knew it.
I mean, really the best plan is what the person's going to adhere to.
Right. Right. During this second lockdown that we are in Toronto, you've actually been working out. You actually started a workout routine. So what have you been doing in order so you could be getting your workouts and staying and getting back into shape?
Well, I don't have a very big apartment, so I don't have anywhere to kind of put fitness equipment in or anything else like that. What I've done is I found a good just resistant bands and tubing so that I can get a varying resistance between 10 pounds to 150 pounds if I combine all the resistance bands together. And I've just been starting to do come up with my own little program that suits my body, that's going to work with my injuries. And I've talked a little bit about the injuries on the first podcast, with the neck injury and the wrist injuries and everything else like that. Now, I know people may not like resistance bands because it's not weights or anything else like that. It's not lifting real weights. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, I'm doing air quotes when I said real weights. Your muscles don't understand 10 pounds, the difference between 10 pounds or 20 pounds or 100 pounds. It understands with how hard it has to contract, how many muscle fibers it has to contract, and how much energy it has to use, right? And how much damage it does. So how heavy you're lifting is an ego thing versus the quality of the muscle contraction that you're doing. And that's why I'm not against using resistance bands, because again, it's about fatiguing the muscle. It's about getting the best quality contraction, and it helps me to really focus because it's a lot different than lifting free weights. So I have to focus on getting the best quality muscle contraction there is. And I'm looking forward to the results that I'm going to get with it. And I want to show that it doesn't matter the type of resistance, the type of workout that you do. If you do it properly, it's again, it comes down to that process, whether you're making a rest, you're thinking about it, and it depends on the person that that's hearing this, whether you like to hear about it as you're making a recipe for a cheesecake or making a blueprint to build that mansion. It comes down to the ingredients, the process, and the cook time, right? And it doesn't matter necessarily what you use if you kind of realize, if you break it down into those three kind of steps. So if you don't have like a full gym at your disposal, figure out, you need to make a recipe, figure out how you're going to make a cheesecake without all that equipment,
Can
right?
you can you share one of the things that you use to make your cheesecake with the equipment?
So obviously I love gyms, and I love squat racks and everything else like that. I love leg presses, and all the equipment. There's a lot of different equipment out there on the market. And I love using a lot of different variations of machines or anything else like that. I don't have access to that anymore. I don't have space to put in the pieces of equipment that I want. So I kind of had to figure out and go, am I going to sit here and be a couch potato and just go for walks, and still doing my 11 days system, lose the weight and lose a lot of body fat still, but am I going to end up looking the same, or do I want to transform my body and look like a bodybuilder, look like I'm chiseled out of stone and marble and everything else like that? So I kind of had to figure out what I need to do. And that's why I went with the resistance bands, because A, doesn't take up a lot of space. I just put the door anchor in and loop the resistance bands around and just focus on the movement that I'm going to be focusing on. And it doesn't matter if you can have push-up bars and chin-up bars, and you have space to have that in your house, do that. If you have a space to put a stability ball or a BOSU ball, do that. If you need to do yoga to improve your range of motion, do that. It's all about different recipes. Like cooking a cheesecake, if you only have access to a campfire, how are you going to still do it? Can it be done? Yes, it can. Can you make an amazing cute cheesecake? Yes, you can. Can you make an amazing steak on a campfire?
Absolutely. And they'll
Mm-hmm.
taste better.
Yeah, and you can do it with a whole bunch of different ways. You just have to know what ingredients, what the process and equipment you have, and the time that it's going to take to do it. And then just go out there and give yourself an assignment to do it. Give yourself permission to do it.
Now, you and I both agree on this next question. I want to get your insight on the effectiveness of BOSU, because next week, throughout all week next week, I'm talking about balance.
Mm-hmm.
And you were the one actually that pointed me to an article that people doing like barbell or dumbbell curls and chest press on BOSU balls actually decreases the efficiency of your trunk, or what people like to call, I'm using air quotes too, the core.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on using unbalanced unbalanced platforms to increase their stabilizers, as they think that they're using, they think that they're actually activating?
Mm-hmm. You and I both, and as personal trainers, we've heard of this principle called SAID, specific adaptation to imposed demand. Sorry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to look at why you're doing what you're doing. Now, BOSU ball and these balance trainers have their place in your workout. So, for instance, I injured my ankle a long time ago. I twisted my ankle and severely sprained it. And I used a lot of these balance trainers to help build strength into the ankle. Would I ever do a weighted squat on these balance trainers? No, because my personal goal is to build as much strength as possible with that, or build as much maximize the muscle contraction as possible. And when you're on an unstable surface, you can't really do that. You can't get the same type of contraction as you when you're on a stable surface. Also, when you're very rarely going to be on an unstable surface and doing an activity,
Unless
right?
it's sports specific.
Yes. So for instance, if it's sports specific, what you actually want to do is train on the activity, right? So if you're, let's say, an alpine skier and you're skiing on the alpine, you want to be training the muscles doing the skiing. You don't want to be training the muscles doing a BOSU ball and everything else like that. You don't want to be overworking those muscles, because if you're doing BOSU work, stability work, downhill skiing, it can overtrain, and that's where you can see injuries. And you do see a lot more injuries happening in sports nowadays. Or I haven't actually paid attention to a lot of sports, but you do see a lot more injuries. If you have a gymnast that's looking to do beam work, get them training on the beam and getting them feeling the beam versus doing work on the BOSU or anything else like that, because it's specific adaptation to impose demand. So you want them training on that specific. Now, it's okay to maybe put them on there once in a while, but having a gymnast do squats on a BOSU ball is not going to be transferable to them doing stuff on the beam.
True. However, like I said, it can't, like the Bosu ball and the stability ball can be
Mhm.
useful to like people like surfers or kite surfing.
Mhm. Yeah, I still wouldn't get them using weighted squats, but you can get them to work on balance, some balance exercises. So like staying on the BOSU with no weight, no added weight. Go on one foot, put the foot down, go on another foot, maybe do their own personal squat on the BOSU with their own body weight. The problem that I have is when you're doing weights or exercises on unstable surfaces, is that we all know there's a circuit chain with exercises. So whatever force is being applied, let's say at your ankle, that force is going to be multiplied on your knee, right? The knee is not meant to be unstable. That's why it has so much cartilage and ligaments and everything else like that. So when you start applying that force and then you start multiplying it with the weight doing a barbell squat, now not only are you multiplying that force from the instability of the ankle, now you're multiplying that force because now you got weight on top of it. If you look at a kind of like if you take a look on a biomechanics on the forces that are applied now to the knee and the hip, now you're putting so much force that you're actually straining and can potentially damage the ligament. Now I know there's going to be people that don't agree with me on that, but again, I got nothing on there. If you want to go and do body weight squats on the BOSU ball or on a exercise ball, stability ball, go for it because it's really good at building your balance. And if your goal is to build your balance, do that. If you want to squat 135, 225 pounds on there,
You and I are both on the same page on that.
yeah.
So we're going to be closing out the session soon. So I always ask these 6 or 7 questions to all my guests. This is actually kind of new that I've done before you actually came on or after you came on. So with the increase in people suffering from depression from the consistent lockdown, lock up, lockdown, lockout, uh, what's the one thing that you could tell them to keep their hopes up?
Plan and dream. Set a dream and set a path to do it. And the reason why I say this, and this is not like the depression and everything that we're seeing here is not limited to lockdown. It's limited to the fact that people are out there and they don't have anything to shoot for anymore. It's kind of like they're conforming to a basic standard of life. So what I would say is try and figure out what your highest standard of life is going to be and just go out there and do it. Most people don't have a dream, don't have a goal, don't have a recipe for life, and I think they're bored in life. And it's time to get rid of that boredom. Get rid of that idleness, get rid of that laziness, and you're going to see life change. And again, the 3 things that everybody desires in life, and I'm going to add a 4th in there right now, is health, wealth, love, spirituality. And that's the 4th. So do something that's going to benefit your health. Do something that's going to benefit your wealth. And wealth, I don't mean that you have to be a millionaire. But wealth, I mean, it's going to allow you to go out there and live your goal so you don't have to struggle. Because you're not here to struggle on this planet. You weren't created to struggle. look at, for love, what you want to do is you can't receive love unless you give love. So what are you doing to give more love out there to make the world a better place? And then spirituality is very important as well. So you kind of have want, because, and this goes out to all the people who maybe have this tendency to not want to believe in a higher being or anything else like that. I used to be like that. And I'll tell you something that I realized is you can't look at everything around you, all these blessings, all these miracles, all this experience, and say that nothing created it. You look at it this way. Let me talk for those of you watching on YouTube, and I'll describe it for people who are not. Just me waving my hand, doing a simple wave. All I'm doing is I'm thinking of moving my hand in a back and forth motion. I'm not actually thinking of all the muscles that I have to contract to do that. I'm not thinking of all the little energetic processes that have to happen, all the chemical processes that have to happen in my body. If you want to look at a quantum physics level, I'm not looking about how the interactions of the atoms, the protons, the neutrons, the electrons, the energy packets that have to go on to do that. But yet something has to do that. Something had to have created a system to do that. And when you start to appreciate and you start to step back and go, wow, that's absolutely incredible. And it's a blessing. Imagine what I want you to do is I want you to imagine what your life would be if just to wave your hand, you had to actually think of all the muscles that are firing, all the chemical reactions that had to happen, all the where the every single subatomic particle has to be. Imagine how long it would take you to move your hand, right? And I want people to start understanding what type of miracle that they're actually a part of. Because once you start understanding that miracle and you start understanding how amazing this world is, and you start talking about life with gratitude, an attitude of gratitude, you're going to see your life start to change. And once I started to realize this, I started to realize that there are principles and laws in life that were created and had to be created. It couldn't be random. It couldn't be done random. And once you start partaking and living your life towards those laws and showing gratitude for those laws, you're going to start seeing your mind shift, and you're going to start seeing things come to you that you wouldn't see before. I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, it answered it in spades. Thank you. Thank you. Where do you see yourself in isogenics in the next 5 years?
Uh, so I want to get to what we call a rank of executive, but I want to be one of the top income earners in Canada. So I'm going to have to work my butt off because I'm far from it. But it's a good challenge that I want to be at because I want to live a better life. But I also want to be, and like I said, I've talked about, we have this thing called the Isobody Challenge, where it's a body transformation challenge that we do every 16 weeks. I want to be within the next 5 years, I want to be an Isobody Grand Champion. So that means every country, every market has their own Isobody competition. So they're a local champion. So I want to be the champion since I'm in Canada, in the Canadian market. And then out of all the markets around the world, all the champions come together and one grand champion's picked. So I want to become that grand champion as well.
Nice. Keep
Mm-hmm.
doing this and you'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
I know the type of person you are. You're more stubborn than I am.
It's the Greek and the Cypriot.
How about you personally? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I see myself, honestly, I want to see myself as an influencer and a coach, um, helping people transform their lives, not just with isogenics, like I said, through this goal setting programs, through the daily wisdom programs, creating a community of people that are just living better. A society of people just living better, doing better, acting better, and just being better. I want to have a program where I'm teaching exercises. So on, let's say, either YouTube or social media or anything else like that, that people can follow along and do. And I just want to spread my knowledge. So not only do I want to, for health wise, I probably want to get down to doing a bodybuilding competition as well. Not just doing, but winning a bodybuilding competition. If I can get my wrists doing strengthened and my neck back on track, I would love to do maybe powerlifting or a strongman, local strongman competition for my health. For my wealth, I want to be earning at least 7 figures or more. And I want to be able to spend more time freedom so I can travel and so I can do inventions to make the world a better place. And then hopefully I'm married with kids in the next 5 years.
Nice. If you could pick up the phone right now and call
Mm-hmm.
yourself at 20 years old, what would you tell
Mm-hmm.
yourself?
Um, learn time to take gratitude. I mean, I've always been passionate about knowledge and I've always been hungry to be an achiever. But I would probably tell myself there's a bigger picture. And I was more atheistic when I was in my 20s. And I would probably tell myself stop being atheistic and start believing in something bigger than yourself. And start following a plan, the recipes for success, the blueprint for success. I've always believed in the blueprint, but I've never believed or understood the bigger picture with the law of attraction.
Very nice. Very good. Looking back, would you change anything?
No, because it's led me to who I am today. There's a funny episode. I don't know if anybody listening is a Star Trek fan. Star Trek the Next Generation, but there's an episode where Captain Picard dies. He was in the blast. He had an artificial heart, and his artificial heart stops. And this omnipotent, omnipresent entity called the Q comes back, and he's like, and Picard's like, "Where am I?" He's like, "You're dead, and I'm gone." And he gives Picard the opportunity to change something about his life. And what ended up happening, he was fighting an alien when he was in the academy, and he got stabbed through the heart. So, and that's what caused him to have an artificial heart. So he went back and he's like, I was stubborn, hot-headed back then. And if I could change it, I wish I could change that fight scene. So Q, this omnipotent entity, brought him back, and he changed where he was. And he didn't get stabbed by that alien in the heart. And what ended up happening is when they brought him back to the future, he was, instead of being a captain, he was just this lonely scientific officer. And he's like, Q, I can't live my life as this person bereaved of passion and void of all goals and life or anything else like that. And he came to realize that if you were to go back in the past and change even just one small little thing, it can unravel the tapestry of your life. Don't dwell on changing the past. Dwell on making your today the best.
It's funny you said the word tapestry because I'm kind of a Star Wars fan.
Mhm.
The episode that you just mentioned is called Tapestry. So
Mhm.
that one I remember, but I'm not completely sure about the rest of them, but that was
Yeah.
a very good episode.
Mhm.
Um, and you're right. You are 100% right. And when my guests come on here and they say I would change nothing, they're the ones that get it
Mhm.
completely.
Yeah.
Uh, my next question to you is, what keeps you up at night? What scares you?
Honestly, one of the best things that I've learned to do is when it comes to fear, fear just stands for false evidence appearing real. So honestly, there's no situation that keeps me up at night except for if I've done something to really screw up. There's nothing external that can happen to me. I'm not scared of death. I'm not scared of anything else because there's always a solution to a problem. But if I did something to really wrong a person, my moral conscience and my moral compass uh, will have me dwelling on it. But there's nothing else that I fear. There's nothing that anything can happen to me that can't be solved. There's no external process that can't be figured out because everything that you see in the outside world is just a manifestation of what's happening on the inside.
That's awesome. And I know that one comes from the master key system. That's
It comes from the master key system and the happy pocket full of money as well.
yeah. Where can people find more about you?
So if people want to follow me on Instagram, it's at and then my last name, which I'll spell it. It's N as in Nancy, ICOLAOU, and then my first name, which is S as in Sam, PIROS. Um, that's the best place to actually find me. You can look me up on Facebook as well, Spiros Nicolaou. If you're seeing my picture, you'll see kind of a bald person there as well. Uh, a bald, a bald shaved head person there, but you'll be. I'm public. It's no private, so you can kind of see if I have posted my before and after pictures. If I have my daily wisdoms, you can go to my pages and look for goal achievers or the Master Key Mondays as well, and kind of follow along with that as well.
Cool. And we will post all your links with the show notes here so people have easy access
Mhm.
to you and to your products as well. So just give me your website so I can
Mhm.
post that as well and help you
Yeah,
with that.
absolutely.
Any final thoughts?
We've talked a lot about myself. I'm hoping that whoever honestly is listening to this, you find this helpful. You find the information useful. It inspires you to transform your life. It inspires you to live better, do better, be better, um, and inspires you to be the light of the world. Because that's the only thing I can truly say that I want for the world as well, is to be the inspiration and help people take the action that they need to do to live better.
That's awesome. And I can attest to that too, personally, because I know I might have said this on the last podcast, but the reason why I started VO Fitness back up and the Fitness Oracle and now the Band of Brothers is because of a conversation that you and I had 2 years ago.
Mhm.
It got me thinking about where I'm going with my life,
Mhm.
what I wanted to do, and what legacy I wanted to leave. And this is the legacy that I want to leave.
Excellent. If I can say one more thing to people, because there's so many people that are scared of the word no. John, how many times did you tell me to shut up when I've been talking to you about this? That you didn't want to hear this? How stubborn were you?
2 years?
Hmm.
About 2 years worth of no.
Yep. And I just kept dripping on you, and I kept pouring my belief into you of what you could be, to show you that you are more than you are. You're meant to do more than what you are supposed that you were doing at the time. And you just have to keep doing that until people literally tell you to go F off, or people are ready to hear it. And eventually people are going to be ready to hear it.
Yeah, eventually. So for that, I appreciate you. That's why that's one of the many reasons why we're still friends.
Mhm,
So for that, I appreciate you and coming
mhm,
on for the second time on my show. That's great, and you've shared so much with us. And I hope
mhm,
somebody out there is going to listen and
mhm,
become a better version of themselves.
mhm.
Uh,
I want to thank you for having me on again, John. It's been an awesome experience and an awesome pleasure.
Great, awesome,
Mhm,
thank you. Going through hard times is just a test. What you need to know is that when you get out of whatever you're going through, you will be stronger than ever before, and you don't need to go through it alone. Always know that you are not alone. Stay tuned for more real people with amazing stories just like yours. Until then, to everyone out there listening, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you may be in this crazy world.